as promised on my last I can't even speak, my last episode, I've got a really special guest. I did a guest appearance on Cai's podcast, so she's returning the favour. So I would like to introduce Cai. Cai Graham from the Parent and Teen Coach. Cai is a best-selling author of the TEEN Toolbox, equipping parents and teenagers with the tools for navigating adolescence, which I think everybody who has an adolescent in the house should buy that. She also hosts a podcast, Parent and Teen Toolbox, and I love listening to it. Listen to the last podcast and I was in there 100%. I'm a parent. I might be a therapist, but I'm a parent as well, and I get triggered. She speaks on many topics relating to the challenges that adolescence can bring: anxiety and mental health issues, communication breakdowns between parents and teens, conflict and arguments within the home. Yeah, I'm there with that one. Confidence issues that kids often face during puberty. My son doesn't suffer from that at all, I must say. Cai does this to help parents feel more confident so they can better support and understand their teenagers, because let's face it, the goalposts have changed somewhat since they were on teenage years, 100%. And Cai's mission is to help parents to support their teenagers so that together we can build a mentally healthier and happier generation of young people. She believes that teenagers get a bad press. Her qualifications are never ending and endless. So using her background as master practitioner in coaching and NLP and timeline therapy, together with her experience with Childline, the UK's leading charity providing 24-hour counselling services for young people, Cai wants to help families break down the barriers and communicate better to help build stronger relationships. Wow. Welcome, Cai.
Thank you so much. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. So thank you, Jackie.
I think we do similar things. Our background is quite similar, kind of a shift from a previous career. Talk a little bit about how you got to where you are today.
Oh God, I'm a master of reinvention, a sort of chameleon of sorts. I started off in the city in my 20s, suffered from huge imposter syndrome and was really relieved when I sort of could find an excuse to get out of it. And that was sort of motherhood and pregnancy and all that. Suddenly I realized that it wasn't a thriving environment for a young mum. So I got out, and then I did the sort of stay-at-home mum bit in my 30s and realised after a while that there was more to life than the school run. So I reinvented myself, and in my 40s I became a portrait and wedding photographer, and I was able to sort of see that family life wasn't actually as fabulous as those wonderful pictures on the walls. Sort of wanted to sort of try and imitate. And then sort of, I think it was the death of my dad where I sort of hit a sort of, I guess, a block, because basically what happened was you cannot, as a wedding and portrait photographer, go, well, listen, my dad's really ill, and if he takes a nosedive, then I won't be at your wedding. I hope that's all right. I mean, you can't do that to brides. It's not fair. So I hung up my camera and then sort of went through the grieving process after dad died and just couldn't find my mojo, and just. I went to see a life coach because I just couldn't pick myself up. And what I realized was that my business values were very, very different to my personal values. And I basically, we sort of did a bit of thrashing about and worked it all out. And I sort of said, Jerry, can I actually give up photography altogether? And he went, my darling girl, it's your life. You can do what the heck you like. So what do you want to do? And it was then that I realized I wanted to make people feel how he just made me feel, giving women permission to do something that they really want to do. Because many of us lose our identity after motherhood, or lose our confidence, or menopause kicks in, or, so I was supporting mums in messy breakups or after mastectomies and stuff like that. But then at the same time, I joined Childline. What started to happen was that mums were going, listen, I know I need help, but sort my child out, And I suddenly realized that actually there was no support there for teens. There was lots of stuff for little ones and mums and toddler group, and is this, does this look the right contents of a nappy, or whatever that is, or toddler taming, or but as soon as the problems get meatier, everyone just shuts up and says nothing. Because we are not wanting to betray our kids, because we are not wanting to paint them in a bad light, because we know they're inherently good kids, but they're struggling, or they are going off the rails, or they're being arsy, and we don't want people to know, here's the mum guilt, that, oh my God, I've been parenting for long enough and I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
Yeah.
So it all goes quiet. So that's why I sort of evolved into being a parent and teen coach, because been there, done that, got the blimmin' t-shirt. My kids are 20 somethings now. And the teenage years can be isolating, they can be confusing, they can be scary, they can be wonderful, they can be exciting, they can be, but no one really tells us how to communicate with our kids. And when they don't communicate back in their teen years, that's tricky. So
yeah, and that's it. I talk to a lot of parents about, do you know what I mean, when they're saying that my teen doesn't talk to me, it's kind of like they've took their eye off the ball. Communication hasn't been a big issue when children are younger, because they come in and they tell us everything, what they've done at school, what the friend said, what they had for lunch, and then suddenly it starts to wean off. And if we take our eye off the ball with the communication, it's so easy for it to get less and less and less.
I think it's something that we take for granted.
Yeah.
We take for granted that our child is going to sort of tell us all about what's going on. You never guess what happened on the bus today. And then suddenly, and you say so gradually, sometimes, lots of parents sort of say to me, they went upstairs last night fine, and they've come downstairs like Kevin and Perry. It's just gone bonkers. This child has morphed into something like literally overnight. Yeah. And it catches us unawares. And then we don't know what to do, and we panic and we go all needy. And it's just, oh, tell me what's wrong. Oh, listen, you used to be fine. We used to have such fun together. And then the kids, because they are wired for independence, are suddenly sort of going, would you ever just shut up and leave me alone? And understandably, who wants that needy? Please talk to me. I don't.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of us trying to readjust to the new role of a parent of a teenager.
Yeah, and I think you touched on a really valid point as well. One of the things I learned when I was doing my training, it's called the 3 Ps: permission, protection, and potency. Yeah. And giving parents permission is a massive thing. When you said to your life coach, he gave you permission to put your camera down. And I think sometimes parents need permission and support. That, do you know what I mean? Good enough is okay. There is no such thing as a perfect parent, perfect teenager, perfect life. It doesn't exist.
Exactly. And this is what I'm finding in my group. I've got a sort of membership group, and the mums are sort of literally sort of saying, am I doing it right? Tell me what to do next. And the thing is that yes, you can give advice. Yes, you can sort of say, try this, but it's only the parent that really knows their child the best. And so one piece of, and what I implore any parent to go is, yes, be a sponge, inhale everything if you like, that's great if that works for you, but at the end of the day, go with your gut, go with really, do you know what, that ain't going to work with my child, or oh my God, thank you, that is going to work brilliantly, because we forget to tune into who we are. We have been with our child for all these blimmin' years, ups and downs, and we know them better than anyone else, better than you or I, Jackie, better, we can offer the guidance and we can give the tools, but it's up to the parent to go, do you know what, that ain't going to work for me. But I think the thing is what I am finding is still parents are needing the guidelines, are needing the tools, and there in that lies the confidence to go, do you know what, I'm doing all right.
And being in the membership that you've got is brilliant. Do you know what I mean? To be amongst like-minded people, to be amongst a supportive, one of my catchphrases and my tagline is "we're better together." Totally. And social media puts out so much stuff, pictures of happy families and everything, and it's not reality. But if we're comparing ourselves and our parenting to that, our confidence takes a hell of a knock. And the other thing, touching on what you said, it's about what feels right for us as parents. Knowing our children is brilliant, but if we're going against what we want to do because we think it's right to do something else, we're not 100% in. We're not being authentic with it. We're faking it.
And I think that's the problem, is the fact that when we are spiraling down, when we're struggling, when we feel isolated, when we don't have the confidence and we're confused and we're getting all this information, we lose connection of our own inner radar, and that's when we're sort of going, God, will someone just help me here?
Yeah.
And that's understandable. I mean, I've been doing that in business, and suddenly I realized, I'm following everyone else's model, and it's not right, and it feels wrong, and it's grating. Tell you what, Cai, do what suits you best. And it was that, oh my gosh. And that's what we forget about, because we're being fed all this stuff, do this, do that, and with it's the same with homeschooling. It's the same, oh my God, so many parents are feeling overwhelmed and going, I've got all this information and my child won't do anything. And well, then it's not your job to educate your child.
Yeah.
It is your job to be a guidance whilst they are doing this online learning. And so we need to connect back with us and our inner selves and what we stand for and what our child needs. And
yeah, 100%. And I know, as a psychotherapist, I really struggled in the early days on what image I want to portray. And as a parent, I talk quite a lot about my son. I always ask his permission. He's fine for me to post stuff on my page. He's not very private in that respect. But it's about, how much do I say I'm struggling? Should I not have all the answers as a psychotherapist and coach? I've been through the training. I should know all of this, but I get triggered by my son. Do I tell people that, or are they going to think I'm not going to talk to her? She doesn't know what she's doing. How can she tell me what she's doing?
Yeah.
But I think people connect with authentic people.
Well, that's it. And I've been going through exactly the same thing. And I am a mum of 2 kids, and one of them has historically struggled a lot with his mental health. And my mentor was chatting to me sort of, last month, and he was going, come on, Cai, why would people believe you? Why you sound so bloody perfect? And I went, oh, no. Tears started, the whole lot. And I went, no, I am going through that struggle. And the problem is the fact that, a bit like you sort of said, with Jack, my son Jack, he hadn't spoken about it publicly, so it wasn't really my story to tell. So even though I could empathize, I couldn't show that. And then just recently he published a blog post, and it was, whoa, right. And actually tomorrow I'm going to be recording some podcast interviews with him.
Brilliant.
And now I can start talking about, right, okay, I'm in the trenches, and I might not have a teen, but I've got a child that is still struggling. And I think we need to do that. I think we need to be real. I mean, come on, when you're looking at Instagram and you see all this glossy stuff, it's good to see influencers, celebrities actually being real and just giving us a break, and we need to educate our kids that all.
And I resonate so much with what you've just said. My eldest was in the military for 8 years. He did 4 tours in Afghanistan and suffered massively with PTSD, but he never spoke about it. I recommended him go and see somebody, but I was his mum, so whatever training I had, he wouldn't take it from me because I was mum.
Yes, what do you know? I'm getting that. And Jack sort of comes back and he sort of says, oh my God, I'm sounding like you. And I went, oh yeah, well, now you realize that I don't talk a load of rubbish the whole time. Because he's just coming back and repeating some of the things that I have said to him in the past. And I think, well, thank God, he might not think he's listening, but it's obviously resonating.
But it reminds me of when our kids start school. Do you know what I mean? And everything their teacher says is gospel.
God, yeah.
We've been saying it for ages, but it just in one ear and out the other. But if Mrs. Robinson in reception class says it, then it's like a revelation. But I'm not precious. Whoever can help my children alongside me, go for it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're right, and this is what this is what I say to my clients as well, is don't take this personally. This is not all about you. It's however your child can be fixed, in air quotes, or however your child can find the answers or get the support they need. Jack is talking to me a bit more, but his go-to person, he has a number of people that he supports him, not just mental health, but lots of other things.
Yeah.
But the person he goes to is my brother, is his uncle. And hurrah, I don't want to know what's discussed. Is Jack feeling better after a conversation? Hell yeah. Well, then good. That's all that I need to know. It's not about me.
Yeah. And I found with my son, you know, particularly when he was still serving, I was trying to protect him by not telling him how I was feeling, and he was trying to protect me from not telling me what he was going through out there, and we just missed each other so much because we were that concerned about protecting each other.
And I think that's a sort of, and that's right, but I think there is also that happy balance is we have to watch out that when if our child opens up to us, that we remove the emotion from the conversation, because there is nothing worse than, I don't really want to hear how awful you're feeling because it makes me sad or it makes me upset. We should not be putting the responsibility of our emotions onto our kids.
100%.
And our kids need to feel as though we are a safe landing ground, but not the fact that we are adding to their burden of making, you know, their feelings making us feel bad, because that is just, that's just going to shut the doors in communication anyway. So it's important to remove emotion and just try and validate what they're feeling.
And again, you know, we're really good with the mummy guilt. Do you know what I mean? It's my fault that they're struggling. It's my fault that I didn't do this when they were 5 years old, and it's down to me. Exactly like you said, we need to take ourselves out of the equation and don't keep turning it in on
what
us.
did I do wrong?
And I love that saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And maybe that's the reason why, you know, when you say that your son speaks to his uncle, you know, we need support around us in order to support the people around us, if that makes sense.
And likewise, it's you know, it's for parents listening to this, you know, the onus is not on you. The onus on you is to find the support that is right for your child. Now, it could be uncles, it could be teachers, it could be pastors, it could be you or I, Jackie. It doesn't matter who it is, but whoever it is, there's got to be that trust, that relationship, and also that confidentiality that mum or whoever doesn't hear about it all. Because that's, you know, that's one thing I say is to sort of parents who come to me, you know, the fix my child bit is, yeah, absolutely fine, that's great, but you do realize that you're going to hear absolutely nothing about the conversation from me, because unless obviously it's life-threatening, but you know, our kids need safe places, safe people to sort of, you know, to confide in. Because it's quite tricky out there.
And I think that's really good about, you know, the stuff that you do, because it is working with the parent separate from the child, because often, you know I bring my own childhood into how I parent, whether I want to parent the same way that I was parented or do the complete opposite. And I get triggered, you know, by what my son is going through. What was I doing at his age? You know, how was my parenting done to me? You know, all that sort of stuff. So we kind of relive our own childhood through our parenting.
Totally.
So, you know, if you can separate the parents out and maybe support them separate from their child, it's a win-win in my mind.
Well, I think the thing is also, if you've got the parent and child in the same room, or, you know, sitting on the same sofa, the child's just not going to open up. They're going to say the things that mum or dad or whoever the, you know, significant other is, whatever they think that they want to hear. And it's only when you sort of have that, you know, you have that break and it's just a one-on-one, that's when you are able to break down what barriers there are.
And you know, when I've seen parents, the way that I tend to work it, or I did when I was seeing face to face, was I would see them together for the first session and then individually, and then come back together. And you know, it was quite flexible in how I approached it for each, you know, parent and child, because sometimes they wanted to come together. You know, the child was very, I don't know, I'm an ex-foster carer, and a lot of the children were very loyal to their parents no matter what had gone on, you know, so they don't want to say things that their parents have done for fear of them being judged or feeling like they've betrayed the parent or whatever it is. There's a whole heap load of psychological stuff that goes on when you're seeing a parent and child together face to face. So, you know, to be able to see them individually, to just be them, is really important, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. And what we have to remember when you sort of say, you know, treating them individually, what we have to remember as parents of more than one child is that one child is very different to the other. So, you know, one way of communicating is it might work with child A, but certainly not with child B. So it's a matter of, you know, working out, you know, and I think this is the thing, is that, you know, you sort of go through with your first child and you think, okay, I think I've got it now. I think I know what this parenting lark's all around. And then child 2 comes along and it's bam, oh my God, the goalposts have changed. And that's where our sort of ego comes in, and sort of, you know, and we start worrying again, is the fact that we've got it wrong and we don't know what we're doing and we thought we should do. And, you know, but we have to understand that these parental waters are quite choppy sometimes, and it's hard to navigate them the same with different, you know, with different kids.
I think I've kind of, you know, inadvertently or totally by accident fallen on my feet with having Cai. It's same name as you. It sounds funny calling you Cai when I've got a Cai at home. But my elder 2 are kind of a middle ground. They're a safe haven for him because I'm old and past it and I know nothing. But his older brother and sister are kind of, they're in their early 30s, but they're not that far away from him and social media and being cool. Yeah. So he does tend to talk to his older brother and his brother-in-law a lot about, plus I'm a single parent. So if he's got any stuff going, maybe I shouldn't say this if it's going out, but about his man bits, I don't know what it's like to have one of them. So, you know, I will steer him towards his older brother or his brother-in-law. That's why to just talk man stuff.
Well, that's why kids need just more than one person to turn to.
Yeah.
And, you know, and in fact, we all do, for goodness sake. We can't rely on just one person to sort out every area of our lives, you know. So why should our kids? And I think the thing is single parent or not, I think when we sort of are, when we start the sort of, you know, the maternal journey, we are very much sort of, you know, the center of our child's universe, and that can be really, really, really hard letting go and sort of realizing that other people are better at helping your child at, God, whatever it is, emotions or physical bits or sports bits or whatever. I think the thing is we have to relinquish the reins a little bit.
Yeah, and it's difficult. I think that's one of the things, is to, you know, at what point do we say, I've done my work now, go fly, go be free and live your life. I'm here to support you. Nah, I'm still doing it with my 32-year-old. No. The theory is nice. It's a nice thought.
It's not, I mean, my 2 flew the nest at sort of 16 and 18. I was an empty nester then. It happened within sort of 2 weeks. They both left at the same time. And that was a real shock to my system. Now, 10 years later, they're both in the same house with me right now, thanks to coronavirus. You know, so I've got the sort of, you know, the best of both worlds. My kids are home. You know, they came back for an extended Christmas. Boris then sort of, you know, changed all the rules and they can't get back to London. Lucky me. So we're learning. It's, you know, it's really interesting learning how to parent. If I don't even think I should parent them, you know, but it's sort of living, coexisting in the same house, having been an empty nester for 10 years, and blimmin' heck, they're all back, which is great, but it's new territory. So it's just trying to work out.
It's interesting for me. My daughter, she produced a wonderful grandson for me 2.5, nearly 3 years ago now, and it is so interesting to be an observer of her parenting. One, how much it's changed since I was parenting,
I bet,
but also looking at his development through a psychotherapy point of view, as opposed to being a mum, to just see, you know, is at the age of 3 now and he's starting to push the boundaries. You know, he won't just sit and eat his dinner. He wants to have a toy and he wants to play, and just watching the normal development as a bystander rather than being in it is amazing. It really is amazing to watch.
And but having said that, you know, but don't you remember what it was like as the new mum of sort of, oh my God, am I doing it right? Oh my God, they're going to choke. Oh my God, they're standing on the top step. And all this sort of, you know, all these sort of mixed feelings.
Yeah.
And now I guess as the grandparent, there's that, and obviously with your professional hat on, but it's just being able, that freedom to observe rather than sort of be the safety blanket the whole blooming time. So yeah.
To be fair, I love my job, and the, you know, the psychotherapy and development side of things just fascinates me. How we all end up, you know, so unique and individual. We start off the same. We've got the same sort of organs and vaguely look similar. We've got 2 arms, 2 legs, and everything. But yet the end result is we are unique. And that fascinates me.
And quite right too. How boring if we were all so grey and same.
Damn right. So I read somewhere on, I think it was a live that you did, about some top tips for communicating with teens.
Oh God, yeah. Well, especially the thing is, and this is even sort of more sort of relevant now because we are in this sort of lockdown quarantine if you're in the States or wherever. And we are really, you know, sort of prior to lockdown, our kids used to come in, they were knackered, they threw the sort of, you know, the school bag on the floor and sort of disappear up to their room, and that was fine. And that's the sort of behavior we expected. Now, we've sort of got these poor little mites under a microscope, and we are able to watch them sort of, you know, at home the whole time. They can't get out. They are feeling imprisoned. They're desperate for independence. They can't wait to see their mates. And all they've got is us, bless them. And they sort of need to control something. And one of the sort of things that they can use to control is communication, conversation, or lack of it. And as I sort of said earlier, when that starts breaking down, we turn into teenagers ourselves. I really need you to speak to me. And we sort of get arsy, and we take sort of, you know, we take umbrage and sort of start sulking. Why won't they just tell me what's wrong? And that's not really the way to communicate, in my humble opinion. I've got an exercise which is called the 3 questions, and it breaks down the barriers for parents to be able to get information from their children so that the parents are happy enough that, yeah, okay, my child's doing okay. And the great thing is that for kids, it's really easy and it's really short, and your parents will be saying less to you rather than saying more. So it's called 3 questions. And basically the premise of this is you have to abide by the rules, but you also have to discuss this exercise with your child so they know what the heck's going on. You know, so the first question is, what is your number? And what we're asking there is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling, dear? Is it sort of, you know, 1 being really dark, possibly suicidal, really struggling, dark thoughts, can't even get out of bed in the morning, to 10, tripping through the sort of tulips, it's rainbows and unicorns, just leave me alone, I'm having a wonderful time. So your child will be able to start, you know, sort of, once they know, is that all you want? You want a number? Okay, I can do that. What we have to remember, and you know, we have to remember that one child's 4 could be someone else's 6. So don't sort of sit there and go, oh my God, John is on a 4, and actually he's feeling fine. You know, the benefit of this, and I would say about this exercise, is use it once a day. Don't overdo it. Don't do it once an hour, because otherwise it's going to lose its impact. But
and things shift moment to moment as well. Our mental health and how we feel, our state of mind, is a moving target.
That's exactly it. But the more we sort of try and use it daily, you know, or, you know, throughout the day, then it's just like, oh, seriously, give me a break, you know, just go away. So we need to sort of do it. But what it does is it gives the parent the benchmark of, well, okay, well, today was a 4, but yesterday was a 3, so we're doing better. Or yesterday was a 7, and oh my gosh, today's a 3. So, okay, I need to just watch, see what's going on. So that's the first question. The second question is, what is your word? And what you're looking for here is a describing word for how you're feeling. And, you know, so it could be optimistic, it could be, you know, sad, it could be betrayed, it could be confused, it could be, you know, loads of hopeful, it could be whatever. I mean, fine, shit doesn't really work because it's not terribly describing. But the benefit of this is that it actually starts helping your child get into touch with their own emotional language.
Yeah.
And it increases their vocabulary, because they probably go angry, and you went, oh, okay, well, is this angry the same as yesterday's angry? And no, yesterday I was really pissed off because I submitted some work and it got lost in the whatever, and my teacher shouted at me. Okay, well, why are you angry today? Oh, well, I'm probably just hungry, or, well, so-and-so said something really mean to me, or, you know, I'm mad at myself, or whatever. So it helps build that sort of that emotional sort of vocabulary, and it helps you get an understanding of what's the snapshot of what your child's going through. And then the third question is, do you want to talk? And I can guarantee firsthand knowledge that 95% of the time it'll be no, you're all right, thanks. No, I'm fine. No, oh God. And you have to abide by that. The rule is you just have to back off and go, right, okay, I'm here if you need me.
Yeah.
And what that sort of says is, I've got your back. What that sort of says is, I'm here for you, without you sort of going, I really need to hear what's going on. And so what happens is that your child sort of suddenly realizes, or begins to realize, oh, okay, this exercise has really worked, because I've given a number, I've given a word, and now they've just shut up. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and so it gives the child the space, because I think the thing is someone, you know, we are desperate to find out what's going on in our child's head, and yet half the time they can't even process it themselves. They have no idea, and they, you know, why are you asking me all these things when I don't even know what's going on? You know, I see kids and they go, I don't know what's going on. I feel bleak. I feel shit. It just feels dark. It feels rubbish, and I don't know what it is. And you know, that's where a lot of them start off, because they haven't processed. They don't know what to do.
And I think sometimes parents misunderstand that. When I always say to them, don't ask lots of why questions. Why did you do that?
Yes.
Why are you saying that? Why? And when they say they don't know why, they're being completely honest.
Yes.
The majority of the time, they don't know why they do something.
It's just more of a feeling.
Yeah. And I know for me, if I'm going through something, I don't know why I do it.
No, I pull up the drawbridge and don't want to speak. So I totally get it. Yeah. But the thing is when your child goes, okay, I do want to talk, don't jump on them like a rash. Okay, that's cool. Now listen, do you want to talk now? Or do you want to take the dog for a walk? Or do you want to get your thoughts together and maybe we'll speak sort of later? Or, you know, and it's removing that needy parent again. Is, okay. Or do you want to go for a drive? And find out what suits your child best. And so that it gives them the space so they don't feel as though they are under the microscope and being judged and sort of stuff like that, because that's hard. But so if and when that magical moment comes when they go, I think I might like to talk, just take a step back, breathe, and don't overreact and go, that's really cool. I'm pleased because I want to be here. And
sometimes it's a standing joke in my family. I've always been a talker with my come on, sit down and we'll have a chat. Tell me what's going on. If they've done something wrong, I always gave them the opportunity to talk about it. And that was my nursing training. My eldest used to say, Mum, can you not just hit me and get it over with? Because the thought of sitting down at the table and telling me his innermost, I thought I was doing a good job. The reality was he didn't want to do all of that. He just wanted me to give him a punishment and let him carry on with his life. And with the foster children, they used to talk to me while they were stirring the gravy, cooking Sunday dinner. They didn't want the focus on them. So what you're saying about giving them the opportunity of how and when they have that talk, I think is brilliant. It's on their terms.
Well, one dad sort of said to me, he's sort of, having followed this sort of 3 questions thing, he's worked out how to do it his way. So what he does is he sort of says to his kids, I go for a walk at 10 o'clock every day. That's it. And if anyone wants to join me, you're welcome. And if
brilliant.
You don't. And so the kids know sort of, shit, I'm having a hard time. I think actually I might talk to Dad. Maybe I'll do the 10 o'clock walk and that might just help. And it could start off with, I just need a bit of fresh air. And, but it's giving them the opportunity to, because I think especially our kids, are, as teenagers, are wanting to be independent. They are wanting to have control. They are so struggling with the control bits at the minute because of COVID, and they're having to stay put at home and blah, 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 blah. So giving them back that choice is worth its weight in gold, and it's allowing them to go at their own pace. And that is what, and you know, sort of there's 3 questions. So many parents are going, this is really weird, my child now doesn't sort of spend all the time in their room. And I went, yeah, because they're not going to get the Spanish Inquisition. Yeah, because you're not going to sit there and sort of do the needy parent thing. They know the rules are that they can sit on the sofa with the dog and not have a barrage of questions from mum or dad. And so actually parents are saying, I'm seeing more of my child. And one mum said, do you know what, I'm getting to know my child, and he's quite nice. So well, thank God for that, you know. But that's a relief. And it's so the sort of, you know, the benefits are legion by actually, and this is what my strapline is sort of, you know, bringing families together by parenting less, is that you actually do less but get more from your kids, if that makes sense.
That's brilliant. I love it. I love the concept. I love the concept of the structure, the 3 questions. You know, that we're not pinning them down to tell us what's going on. They've got the freedom and the choice and everything. I love it. One of the things, my son always becomes a major philosopher at bedtime. That's the time when he wants to open up and tell me everything that's gone on in his life and the world and everything. Sometimes, some days I'm okay with it, and then other days I'm like, yeah, whatever, just go to bed. He's very good at manipulating situations, is my son.
Well,
particularly because he knows I won't ever shut him down. It goes against my grain, so it's like,
he's learned, hasn't he? So you know, good for him.
And I think that's one of the things. I'm finding it more difficult to keep one step ahead. When they're younger, it's easy. We can kind of predict and we know what's coming next. But as they grow up, it's hard to keep one step ahead of them, intelligent-wise.
Intelligence-wise, I mean, my kids leave me standing sometimes. But I think, you know, the trick is yes, to be one step ahead. But I always say, when you move from parenting a tween, a young child, to parenting a teenager, you're moving from manager role to mentor role. And so actually we don't have to have all the answers anymore. We don't have to, a step ahead emotionally is the good thing. But if you don't know sort of homework, if you don't know sort of, you know, social media situations, if you don't know, that's okay. I mean, A, you can put your hands up and maybe they can teach you. How wonderful. And B, they can just sort of realize that actually it's okay not to sort of have your finger on the pulse the whole time. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm all for letting our children teach us. I'm all for learning. I mean, we're learning parenting by the trip and fall method. No one's been here in this situation, especially in a pandemic. But our parents parented so bloody differently. I'm rather glad.
My parents didn't have a clue what I was doing the majority of the time. I was a latchkey kid. Do you know what I mean? I would come in and I'd put the dinner on. I would start doing things. I had an awful lot of responsibility from a young age. And
I think that's different now. And you know, all of this is sort of snowflakes and they don't know they're bored, and that sense of entitlement. I think that makes me so cross. Our kids, the sort of teen generation and the 20-somethings, they are so invested in this planet. They are so invested in sort of fair play. None of this, you know, I think I sometimes feel very guilty at the world that we are handing over to our children. And they are wonderful, humorous, you know, sort of young people, and I think we need to cut them some slack and be there to support them and do the very best that we can.
I love that. I really do love that. And we are handing them over something that potentially is broken.
Yes.
You know, I mean, and 100% agree. My elder two in particular are very eco-aware. Do you know what I mean? They, even down to the food that they eat, you know, what they can do personally. I had to think, my mum's generation, I love my mum's generation because I don't know. I started getting my milk delivered in a glass bottle to stop getting plastic. That was my thing. And my mum's mentality was, well, you doing that's not going to make no difference, is it? Unless everybody does it. And it's like, but we've got to start somewhere. I'm not responsible for what everybody else is doing, but I am responsible for myself. And I think the younger generation are taking that on board.
They get that.
Yeah.
They get that. And they should be applauded for it. And
100%,
I think we need to learn from our kids' generation, because they have so much good to say. And I think it's that sense of arrogance that we have, and the greed from the 80s, and it just I'll get off my soapbox, but
that's fine. Jump on your soapbox. I'm 100% behind you. I don't think we give the young people credit for the way that they can not follow the route that has gone before. They're carving out their own path and finding a better way, and I think we need to applaud that and encourage it. Diversity and entrepreneurship and all those sort of things.
Exactly. And we are always encouraging our kids to stand on their own 2 feet, to have a voice. Come on, stand up for yourself, blah 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 blah. And then suddenly they do, and we try and smack them down. And I just think shame on us. I think we need to applaud them and support them, and just sort of learn from them.
100%. And we are, it is a very different world. What we are going through without the pandemic is very different, but put that on top, it is starting to impact on mental health of the whole nation. Whether it's elderly people feeling isolated and on their own in shielding, or whether it's the younger ones not being able to do. My son's not doing what a normal 16-year-old lad should be doing at all. And that is going to impact on him.
Absolutely. And I think we have to be mindful of that, and we have to cut everyone some slack, and be it the parents working at home, or the kids not being able to get out, or, as you say, the elderly. But also I think the thing is that we sort of, if you read the headlines, it sort of goes, the mental health of our youth is going to be affected, not just this year, but for generations or for decades to come. How doom and gloom. I mean, I think one of the best things all of us can do is stop listening to the bloody media. But, I think the thing is no, hang on a minute. Yes, there are issues, and yes, but how do we get around that? Rather than be the victim to this, let's be proactive, and how can we make this better? And how can we do the micro? How can we look after ourselves? How can we look after, our own families, so that, just our little unit is going to get bigger and stronger, and our kids are able to we are, through this pandemic, we will help our children build resilience. We will help our children build the confidence of self, rather than following the pack. And there are so many opportunities, rather than sort of go, oh, well, we're all going to hell in a handcart. That's not the right message. Our message is to say to our children, we are giving you back the responsibility to do something for you, and that you matter and you are good enough. And what do you want to do? Do you want to be the next Greta Thunberg, or do you want to go and build a tree house in the back garden, or do you want to, I don't know, sort of renovate old motorcycles? Or, it's not all about homeschooling. It's not all about having to get the grades of the GCSEs and the A levels that actually aren't happening any longer. Let's give our kids the opportunity to grow in a different way.
And I think that's, I do think this is an opportunity for our children to come out the other side having more common sense, having more creativity. They've been stuck in the education system where it's like a production line. They come in at one end and they follow this route and come out the other. Whereas now that, they can spread their wings, they can look at doing things differently.
There's one chap I'm sort of coaching, and he's in lower six, and he was sort of saying, do you know what? He said in lockdown, a bit like me, he said in lockdown I started a podcast. He said, I'd never have had the time to do that if I was doing my real studies, the air quotes. And he just sort of said, and he is now able to get his voice out, and he's collaborating with a mate, and they've gone international, and it's really exciting. And he's building that entrepreneurial sort of, well, not everyone else in my class is doing this, so go me, so it's really cool.
That's it. And I think, looking on the positive side, what we are in now is giving children You know, they need to think outside the box. Being creative, it's been knocked out of a lot of children by just going through the education process. You know, music and art and dance and drama and all those things are at the bottom of the ladder now.
Because yes, because it's not on the league tables, and because you know it is, you're quite right. And I mean, I've got teachers in my family. I've got a number of them, and the stresses that they are under, and you know, so I don't want to bash schools. You know, the thing is that they are trying to teach in a way that they've never been trained to teach. They're trying to teach kids sort of, you know, without even being able to sort of, you know, see half of what's going on in their own environment. And this is all alien to everyone. And so I think the thing is that we need to lower the bar a tiny bit, but to give us, you know, treat everyone with kindness and compassion. It costs nothing. Let's not start judging people left, right, and centre and saying sort of what a crap job they're doing, and you know. But it is giving our kids the opportunity to have control about the curriculum that they're learning or whatever it is. You know, giving them, well, I was going to say more choice, but they probably don't feel as though they've got it when they're sort of stuck at home and unable to get out.
Yeah. And what I say to my son all the time is that, you know, I get it's not ideal at the moment. This is just a process, you know, the lessons that you have to go through and everything. We've all been there, and I'm not saying it's right, but when you come out the other end, that's when you can make decisions. That's when you have a choice. That's when you can say, you know, I want to go to uni or I don't. I want to be creative. I want to be a vlogger or whatever it is. You know, it's not like this for the rest of your life.
Well, this is, I was sort of reading something somewhere, I can't even remember where it was, and there was this woman who was sort of commenting. She said she's hearing so many parents going, oh my gosh, I've lost all hope, my child's lost a whole year of you know, academic education. She said she lost 4 years of schooling due to the you know, the battles, the wars in Sarajevo. And she said, and she came out the other side, and since then she's got an MSc. Since then, you know, she's sort of written papers, and she said losing 4 years was shit. And yeah, it was, you know, worse than us sitting there with our sort of flat screen tellers and our full bars or our full fridges. She said it was hell. And from an education point of view, it sort of hit pause for a while, but it didn't stop. It didn't go off the rails. She was able to pick it up later, and our kids will be able to do that. And the bonus is, one hopes, our kids will be able to have the emotional maturity to deal slightly better with all this education that's thrown at them. You know, they're expected to learn by rote and sort of, you know, just sort of churn the right stuff out, and maybe we are going to give our children the opportunity of slightly more inquiring minds. Who knows? Time will tell.
And personally, I believe vehemently in lifelong learning. You know, this isn't a one hit, this isn't your one chance at getting grades or achieving something. We learn until the day we no longer breathe, in my eyes.
And I think that's the thing. I mean, I've just sort of, you know, I'm doing a load of online courses myself, and God, the January sales are great because there's sort of, you know, the point is that actually now I'm doing this out of choice rather than being told. I am inhaling it more. I'm loving it. I am, you know, I'm learning more about the brain than I ever could have done doing biology A level, and it's really exciting. So that's the bonus, is if our child, you know, they might not even choose to go on to different or further education, but they will have the opportunity, to do so. It might just look slightly different, but it's not going to, you know, it's not all is not lost.
No. And again, you know, different isn't always a bad thing.
Precisely. Well, I think it would be lovely if the education system could get a bit of a shake-up. So we don't have to learn about logarithms and calculus and battles of, you know, the dates of battles, when actually what we should be learning is what I've just talked today, is how to communicate with one another better, how to build stronger relationships. Because as we're seeing, in business, you know, of late, of the last few years, business is all about communication. It's all about building relationships. I would much rather do business with someone that I've got a relationship with rather than not. I mean, that ethos, we're sort of, you know, understanding the importance of communication more. So we really should be teaching that, and emotional intelligence, to our kids now.
100%.
You know,
Agree.
and it's
The
not
emotional literacy, emotional intelligence.
It's not on the curriculum yet. But we're beginning to make changes, which is good to see.
Maybe when the kids go back, they'll start to do it themselves naturally. It's part of evolution, I think. Isn't the next generation will pick up and run with certain things, and play.
Hurrah. And that's where we should be learning as adults.
Well, I've so enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my love.
Do you want to just, I will put a write-up on the, you know, the links and everything, but do you want to just let people know how they can contact you or see you?
CaiGraham.com is where you'll sort of find me. I know Instagram and Facebook, Cai Graham, so you'll find me wherever you want to look for me. We'll put it in the show notes, but if you want to have a download of the that exercise, it's CaiGraham.com/3 questions.
Brilliant.
And so that's how you can get hold of me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Hopefully we'll do it again soon. Take care.
Speak to you soon.
Bye.